After 40, your money should be paying for a life that you want to wake up to, not one you've built just out of habit. If that's not happening right now, then I want to save you a lot of stress, time, and false hope by telling you that more money is not the answer. I'm Paudie Kelly, I'm a financial consultant and economics professor, and I've spent my career analyzing and researching financial outcomes. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use your money to get unstuck and to design the life you want after 40. Let me start by getting straight to the point of why more money won't change your life, and why in fact, it will only entrench you more into the life that you already have. By the time you've hit your 40s, you've already built a life, right? Routines, commitments, lifestyle. And even from the outside, it might look fine, maybe even successful. But if you feel that you're trapped, bored, and even dissatisfied, it's because you've actively stopped choosing this life, but you keep continuing to pay for it. In the end, your life just comes down to a series of expenses, right? Your mortgage and your rent, or your lifestyle payments, or your subscriptions, or whatever it is. Each one isn't bad on its own, but together they form something dangerous. Either a life built from habit or a life built from intention. Now, of course, the obvious answer might be, I'll make more money. And look, to some degree that can form part of the solution. But in the end, you don't really have a lack of money problem. You have a lack of alignment problem. If you made more money, you would just end up funding the same life, just at a higher level. Because if your money isn't aligned with the life you want right now, then more money just entrenches you in the life you already have. And this is the key issue. This is really what you need to understand. The issue isn't income. It's where that income is going. Think of it like this, that every dollar is just a vote for the life that you're reinforcing. And right now you're unknowingly voting for the same life over and over again. This is why you feel dissatisfied. This is why you feel bored. This is why you feel trapped. If you keep spending the same way, you're voting for the status quo, for nothing to change. You're voting for the routines, priorities, and constraints you already have. Each month you keep spending the same way, that life gets more funding, more momentum, more permanence. But if you start reallocating money away from this life and towards the one you want, the same thing can happen, just for the better. Each month you spend on this new life, the more real it becomes. In your 40s, you want your money to be funding the life you want, not the life you have. So if lack of money isn't the problem, then what is? The truth is, the answer is a little tricky to understand, but if you can understand it, it will have a humongous impact in aligning the money you have with the life that you want. So here it is. The real reason that you feel stuck in your life is because you prioritize past costs over future benefit. Let me break that down. So in simple terms, it's basically you saying to yourself, I've put so much into this already, I can't stop now. This is called the sunk cost fallacy. And it's this misbelief that you need to keep investing money, time, whatever else into something just because you've already invested or spent so much already, even though it no longer serves you. Here's what it looks like in real life. You stay in a job you don't like because you've been there for 15 years. You keep paying for a lifestyle that drains you because it's what you've built. You continue habits that no longer serve you because this is just how things are. It's a tough choice. Either you quit and have to accept the money or time you've already spent is wasted, or you keep spending time and money on something you no longer care about, knowing you're wasting even more. I've seen so many friends spend a fortune on professional qualifications, certifications, networking events, long after they'd lost interest in their job, but then stayed in their job because of this investment much longer than they should have. So to change your life, you need to focus on alignment. And in order to do that, you have to stop automatically spending on the life that you have and start intentionally spending on the life that you want. And here are 3 useful tactics that you can use to do that right away. So the first thing you need to do is you have to change your money equation. Most people unconsciously run their whole life on this equation. Income minus expenses minus wants equals savings. So when we break that down, basically it just means that people get paid, they pay off their obligations, right? They live their lives, and then they save what's left over. But here's the problem with that. Savings are what pay for dreams. Savings are what create options. Savings are what fund change. So when savings come last, dreams come last. And so what happens instead? You prioritize wants, which means you prioritize the life you already have, which means that the gap between the life you have and the life you want just grows and grows and grows. And it's actually worse than that, because when you're in your 40s, you're also time poor, which basically means that you don't have as many years to recover. You don't bounce back the same way. The cost of doing the wrong thing just compounds faster and more. So if savings are what fund the life that you want, you have to ask yourself why you treat it like an afterthought. Order matters. Whatever comes first is your priority, whether you say it is or not. What you say and what you do are 2 different things, but they don't have to be. Think about it. You might tell yourself, my dream is to travel more, or I want to focus on my health. That's what you say, but what you actually do, the things you spend your money on, the hours you commit, the routines you follow, that's the truth. That's what you really prioritize. So look, if you want to use your money to change your life, then you need to change the order of wants and savings in this equation. So let's take a look at how that changes. The shift is very simple. Now you have income minus expenses minus savings equals wants. Now this change does one powerful thing in that it forces you to prioritize your future life over your immediate comforts. You're still managing the life that you have, you're just not letting it consume everything that you have. The future life you want to wake up to, well, this is how you pay for it. Here's a quick story just to get my point across. When I was on a trip once, I met this older Australian couple. I think they were in their 50s. They were quite a successful couple. They'd worked hard their whole lives. He had a good career and she was a stay-at-home wife. But they were telling me this story of how they always dreamt of retiring early abroad. But they didn't think it was ever possible. They had too many obligations, commitments. So it really just was some sort of pipe dream that they had. But 4 years before I met them, they actually made a very conscious decision to stop spending automatically. Right? They started to decide to spend intentionally on what they valued. And this led them down this path. They didn't believe that this pipe dream was ever possible, but they knew that they had a lot of values that attached to that dream. So the first thing she did was she took up a course learning a new language. Later, she loved languages so much, she decided to become a teacher of English as a foreign language. He then followed suit. A few other things snowballed, and eventually they found themselves moving to Asia to retire. What started out as a sort of pipe dream fell into place because they had intentionally aligned their money with their values. So don't underestimate the power of good intentions in your own life. Stop automatically spending on your wants and start prioritizing your savings and then where those savings go. And I can promise you, a year from now, your life will look completely different. Now, the next tactic is actually a reframe. In that when you buy something, don't think of it in terms of spending, think of it in terms of investing. Think about it. When you buy a bottle of water for $1, you quench your thirst. When you buy dinner out for $200, you feed yourself and have fun. When you spend money, you're always looking for a return on it. It's not always financial, but it is always real. So this is called economic utility. It's basically the satisfaction that you derive from any goods or services that you buy. And so when you think about what's on the other side of the transaction, then we can see that spending is investing. We just don't like to think of it that way. We don't like to admit that that's the case, but it's true. And if that is the case, then that means that every dollar you spend is an investment into the life that you want to lead. Like the voting example from earlier, if you spend on a gym and books and courses, it's an investment in your health or your education. If you spend on takeaway food and alcohol, you're investing in a good time. Both have their place, but the outcome of your life will be determined by which one you invest in more. Let me give you an example. Let's say you buy 2 burgers every week for a year. Well, this compounds negatively. By that I mean that you gain weight, you feel worse, and you just get further away from your fitness goals. But now imagine you reallocate that money. You take it away, you don't have any burgers, and what you end up doing, you spend it on 2 personal training sessions. Now this compounds positively. You feel stronger, fitter, faster, you have more momentum, and you're closer to your fitness goals. Both are investments, both compound, both create outcomes. So the question isn't, can I afford it? The question is what life am I investing in when I buy it? And here's the hard truth. If you keep investing the life that you have, you'll keep waking up to it. So a great tactic is treating your spending like investing. And by that I mean that you need to look for the ROI, your return on investment. What are you getting for it, and do you value it? So this leads me to the third tactic, which you can use immediately to get really fast results. So I call this the Marginal Gains Test. It's super simple and it's very easy to implement. Today, this week, before you continue with something, before you commit more money into it, ask yourself this question. If I were starting today, would I choose this? If the answer is no, then it's probably because of past investment. This is the sunk cost fallacy at work. Right? You're focused on past costs, not future benefit. This applies to jobs, subscriptions, relationships, habits, lifestyles. You don't need to quit everything overnight, but you do need to stop pretending the past effort justifies future misalignment. Now, one of the key issues here is that people don't like to quit. They don't like to fail. But what we got to do is reframe failure. Failure is not failure. Failure is reallocation. Quitting something that no longer serves you isn't failing. It's reallocating resources. Time, money, energy, whatever it is, you do what an investor would do. You take it out of a bad investment and put it into a good investment. No drama, no shame, just better returns. The truth here is that after 40, intentionality matters so much more than effort. And if you can internalize that, then you can change your life. So look, if your life doesn't feel right, don't just reach for more money as the solution to everything. Start by looking at where your money is going, because chances are it's going exactly where you told it to. And the moment you stop automatically spending on the life that you have and start intentionally investing in the life that you want, everything changes.